Hey you guys, this is Josh
and Carolyn
with Homesteading Family, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pantry Chat Food for Thought.
Yeah, this is a Q&A session this week.
Yep,
so
today
yay!
Q&A. So we are going to be answering your questions today, and we've got a good list of questions.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
Lots of good ones on there. I feel like we've been in the kitchen for weeks straight now, though. And this is what happens in the wintertime is that around the farm is either too cold or too dark or something. It's hard to get out to other places to go film. But
we started the Pantry Chat about a year ago. We are
we've had a year of Pantry Chats.
It was mid-January last year, so we're officially into year 2. Thanks you guys for hanging with us.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons it kind of became the Pantry Chat, because we needed a place in the winter that was fun to hang out in and share with everybody.
Right, and we were actually over in the pantry at that point.
Yeah. Now we've moved into the harvest kitchen,
Yep.
which is great. And we need to fire the stove up though. It's a little chilly
It is.
in here.
It's a little chilly down here.
Yeah, get that teapot going.
It's all right, we got our coffees going.
That's right. But before we jump into questions, what's going on?
Ooh, well, we've been a little quiet the last few weeks. We got to take a nice break. That was good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to just slow down a little and take a break, but we've been doing a lot of planning behind the scenes.
And a lot of, not just planning for our homestead,
Yeah.
which we're going to be talking about here. One of the next upcoming videos is going to be a how-to on garden planning. And we've been doing that ourselves.
Yeah.
And but we've been doing a lot of homesteading family planning, and there's some exciting things coming up.
I am really excited about this year.
So what are you excited about?
There's a lot of really fun things. Well, we've got a few new video formats we're going to try out.
Yeah.
A little more storytelling, following us around our life a little bit more that I'm actually really excited about, because people have been asking for this type of video for a long time, and it's just been hard for us to do. And so I'm really excited about that. What are you excited about?
Well, that's definitely one of them. Just the production level is going to go, hopefully still be relaxed, but going to step up a little bit. And like even here on the Pantry Chats, we're going to get some more B-roll in, a little more visual in.
Yeah, you guys have been asking for that for a long time too.
And a little more, maybe even a little behind the scenes and some lifestyle besides the how-tos. We're going to keep doing those, of course, and bringing you guys good information. But along with a little more of just what's going on around here. So I think that's going to be fun. I'm excited about the website and the blog.
Yes, we have a blog. By the time you're watching this,
it should be up. If
blog.
not, it'll be within a day or two of you seeing this.
If you have been following us for very long, you know that we kind of had a blog to begin with.
For a little while. It was just too much for us to get it all done.
That wasn't it. But now there is a real blog coming online. And it's exciting because there's a lot of really good articles in there already.
Yeah, we're going to charge it with a bunch of past articles, and then it'll start getting updated every week with something new. So that's really exciting. And if you guys haven't checked out the website, we updated that a couple of months ago.
Right.
And that's got a bunch of different free instructional downloads in there that are worth checking out. So go check that out. And if the blog's up, you'll see a link to it in the description below.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you can just go check it out at www.homesteadingfamily.com.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's see, what else?
Hey,
the
there's
membership.
A big one, the membership.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, the membership. I'm so excited, you guys. The membership is coming.
Spring 2020.
It's like we need one of those movie trailers, spring 2020. It's coming.
So that is getting really excited. We're behind the scenes working on that and working on some background and some format and just getting things set up for a really cool, what I think is going to be a great interactive experience.
Yeah.
Where you guys are just going to get some inside access to us and
a lot of really, really good training.
Yeah,
a lot of really good stuff.
And we're coming up with some ways where we're going to be able to engage with you personally more and more with the people that are in the membership. So we'll let you know more about that as we get closer.
Yes.
Right? Not quite ready for a wait list yet. But
Not ready for a wait list
it's
yet,
coming
but
soon.
It's coming.
Yep.
It's all coming.
So,
anyways, that's all the homesteading family.
And that's a lot of what's been going on, really.
That's taken a lot of planning and pieces to put all those things together.
Yeah. As far as the homestead, let's see, you've been working on your sourdough and the sourdough challenge.
Yes, the sourdough
challenge. Going on
challenge.
in the bread class. That's been
the
going
Art
good.
of Homemade Bread Master Class. We have the sourdough challenge going on right now. There are literally hundreds of people in there right now making sourdough, starting their own sourdough starters. We're doing gluten-free starters, we're doing ancient grain
So
starters,
you're
we're doing
doing
all sorts of starters and then baking with them, and it's so fun.
besides the class curriculum,
Right.
which does like 4 different starters.
Yeah, so I demonstrate for the class curriculum
Right.
4 different starters, including an ancient wheat and a gluten-free.
Which are which ones? Because you're doing
So
that too.
I do Khorasan kamut wheat,
Yeah.
and in the class, and I do a quinoa gluten-free, and then I do a freshly ground whole wheat flour,
Yep.
and then an all-purpose starter.
And then
right?
currently in this sourdough
So
challenge,
I'm
you're
going through the
doing
challenge
live.
too.
You're going
Yeah,
through the challenge,
I'm
and you're
doing it just
taking
like
people
everybody
through
else.
live in the Facebook group
And I'm
with
doing a
what?
brown rice flour
A
starter.
brown rice, cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a gluten-free. And that's a totally new experience for me, working with brown white rice flour in a sourdough.
Okay.
And then an einkorn starter.
Yeah.
And so there's people doing all different types of starters. It's a lot of fun. There's people doing rice starters. There's people doing all, we've got spelt, we've got emmer, we've got so many different starters. One of the moderators in there just started a chocolate
Wow.
sourdough starter. Like there's actually cocoa powder in the thing, and
Yeah.
she bakes bread with chocolate chips in her with her starter. It's so amazing. So a lot of really fun stuff going on in there. And so that means we're doing a lot of sourdough baking in the
that's
house,
right.
which means we're doing a lot of sourdough eating in the house.
Okay. Is any of this sourdough back here?
None of this is sourdough
Okay.
right now. This was all for my brand new workshop that's coming out on home milled flours, baking with
Oh, that's
home milled
right.
flours.
Yeah, we didn't tell them about that.
Yeah, no, we didn't
Yeah.
talk about that, but a brand new workshop's just
and
coming
so
out.
that is just for baking, non-bread products,
It's
kind
a-
of
it's-
pastry.
We touch on bread a little bit, but the focus is on more like pastries, on quick breads, cookies,
Yeah.
and then biscuits, pie doughs, all with home milled 100% whole wheat flours,
Cool.
whole grain flours.
And we're going to have that up, I think, by the 1st February. is the
It
goal?
will be available by somewhere right around the 1st of
Yeah.
February. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
so-
Yeah. You guys
Yeah.
keep your
So
eyes
I've been
open for
busy
that.
making a lot of bread.
Yeah,
and doing a lot
absolutely.
of sourdough. What have you been doing?
You know, just pretty much maintenance, really.
Yeah.
You know, taking care of the
Wintertime.
snow, wintertime, keeping the snow out of the way. Keeping up with the barn. There's a lot going on in the barn because all the animals are in there. We have got a giant compost heap. It's an experiment this year, and it's going really, really well with composting in the barn. And next year, I think we're going to have hot water in the barn from the composting system. So this is just
Hot
the first
water
year.
in the barn
Yeah.
from the compost pile,
That-
guys.
that's the goal.
The water is heated in
Yeah.
the compost. No electricity, no
Right.
gas, no
Yeah.
anything.
So maybe we can start
It's really
washing
exciting.
milk buckets
right up there with hot water.
and some of those things up by the milking stanchion.
Now, I'll
up
tell
there.
you what, I know the chickens, the barn chickens, and the cats are all loving that compost pile. Every time I'm up there, it's steaming.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's nice and
It's
hot.
nice and warm. Chickens love
So
hanging out on it.
They're
Yeah, and we
hanging out.
throw grain on it regularly, so the chickens get in there and they help mix it a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're just part of the system.
Yeah.
And they're loving it.
That's
yeah.
really fun. Now, you've put out a couple of short videos on that
Yeah, just real short.
Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, they were real short.
We are putting out photos, guys, so go check out some of the things. And that's another thing. We're going to be getting to more photos, maybe some stories coming up here in the next few weeks.
More short stories
so
on
if
IG
you like
and
that
Facebook.
kind of back behind the scenes stuff and other stuff that's going on, make sure you go check out Instagram.
Absolutely.
Homesteading Family.
Yep. So that's really about it. Working on mom and dad's, and that's on to finishes inside. We're doing tile in the bathroom right now,
Okay.
and waiting for countertops, and that is moving along.
Yep. Getting excited.
And rumor that a good friend of mine might come out and help do the finish carpentry. So really excited about that.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sounds great. Oh, you know, I just thought of one other thing that I am
Okay.
doing right now that is good to talk about, and I know we'll be talking about it more in next week's Pantry Chat.
Okay.
And that is, I'm ordering our seeds this week.
That's right. Yeah, we've done that part of our garden planning.
We have already gotten that done, so I
Yep.
have the list of things to order. So I think tomorrow I'm sitting
Yep.
down and actually putting in the order.
And one of the next steps for me is actually starting to look at ordering some trees. We've got a
Oh,
bunch of trees in the ground that were first year trees that we're going to need to get planted this spring. And then we're going to need to bring some more in. So I'm going to be meeting with my good friend Casimir.
Ooh.
And he's going to help do some planning on that. And
we're gonna try to rope
we
Casimir
are.
into a Pantry Chat interview
Yep.
because he is somebody
he
you
knows
guys
his fruit
would
and nut trees.
love
Yes.
to hear from.
Yep.
He is an orchard specialist if there ever is one. So we're gonna try to get him on here for you guys.
Yeah, he's got some good knowledge to share if we can get him on here.
Yeah,
so
real good.
we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. So
Good.
exciting stuff, and we better jump into questions. We've got about 20 of them here
Okay.
today.
See if we can get through them all.
And so we're gonna get to your questions now. Alrighty. Question number 1 from Joe Compton. Hey Joe, from the garden planning video with Melissa K. Norris.
Right.
How long can you save seeds?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Good question. That is no single answer.
Right.
I'm gonna give you the permaculture answer, which is it depends.
It depends.
And it really depends on the storage technique, right?
Yes.
And very few of us have perfect storage techniques, but if you can keep them moisture free and temperature stable at cooler temperatures, seeds can last a long, long time. But it also depends on variety of seed. So you really got to do your homework on what it is you want to save. Make sure you've got your method right, and then know the seed that you're saving. Some are very short, some are very long.
Especially if you have the ability to grow your own seed. If you're into seed saving, it's always best to have fresh seed. Like that's always the ideal circumstance, right?
But it is. We all like that
We need
idea
to
of
save
having a backup.
Absolutely.
And
it's really
most
important.
of us aren't growing or saving all of our seeds. And certain things like pumpkins, you're not gonna, if you're growing multiple varieties, you're generally not gonna be saving your seeds unless you're just gonna grow one variety. Same with corns. There's a lot of different strategies there. So there may be reasons to buy some seeds and save them so you've got a backup. Because there could be a time when it's very hard to get seeds.
Absolutely.
So I love that idea, and it's something that we all need to be growing skills in.
Now, Joe, somebody who really talks about this and is very knowledgeable, and this goes really into this, is the author and master gardener Carol Deppy. She is a microbiologist, I believe, and she just kind of turned her whole scientific attention to gardening into seeds, and she talks about the right storage methods for seeds, including if you really want to do a seed bank, further dehydrating your seeds so that they're actually really stable.
Wow, okay.
So she has a whole methodology. So if you really want to get into the science of that, you really want to create like a longer seed bank, she would be a person to look up. I can't remember what book it is, but she has some of the biggest seed saving books out there are under her name. But just your common seeds, a lot of them you can actually keep for a couple of years and they stay very viable.
Keeping them dry is key.
Keeping them dry,
as dry
and
as you
cool.
can. Cool, temperature stable. They need to not fluctuate a lot. And cool is some basics. Okay, next question from Celebrating Homesteading.
Hey,
this is from the Preparing Your Garden for Winter video that I did, I think, last fall. Where do you get your soil tests done? Okay, well, there are 3 key types of soil tests that we would want to be doing.
Okay.
One is pH, and you can just get a standard pH, tester from your local garden supply store, and as long as you're within a good range, around that 6.5, give or take a little, that's all you need. If you've got some extreme circumstances, then you're going to need to take some further steps. But we've never had that. We've always been in a pretty good range and never had to deal with anything extreme. For organic matter and minerals, I'm going to recommend to you loganlabs.com. That's pretty technical, but that's a good beginner place, and we've not used them a whole lot, but we're going to start doing more, and because we're going to start getting a little more technical and diving a little deeper into not just healthy soil, but nutritional density of our food. This is something I'm going to be focusing on this year. And so for that kind of test, loganlabs.com is a great place to start. And if you can, you also want to do a biological test. And I've got a friend that's helped us, and I'm also taking a class where eventually I'm going to do it myself. And the biological test is looking at the life in your soil. And you need all those components to come together to really dial it in. So you can look online. You might be able to find somewhere online that you can send in soil to do the biological, but that's going to be different than your mineral and organic material content.
Got it. Okay. Right. So, it takes a lot of different pieces to really get that full picture, doesn't it?
It does. And you know, there's been a lot of years where I've just worked with the soil that we have.
Yeah.
And, you know, work to improve organic material and biological life through compost and through a diversity of materials into your compost and mulch. That helps you bring a diversity of vegetation and mineral and life to your soil. So that's a great level to work on. You can do very, very well with that.
Right.
If you want to dive deeper and really get into, you know, building up health in your plants to resist pests and diseases and health in your own body, just organic methods maybe are not enough, and so we want to dive into really fortifying and creating nutritional density in our food, which is where we're going.
Yeah.
That's really important to us is the nutritional density of our food.
Moving beyond just organic
and
into nutritionally dense.
And so if you want to go that, then you definitely want to get into your mineral tests and your organic matter tests and your biological tests.
Okay, good.
All righty. Okay, next question. Christy Ingram on the canning meat video, the Easy Raw Pack. Okay, she says 90 minutes to can that meat. Wow. I used to can a lot, but not meat, and the purpose of the pressure cooker is to shorten the amount of time needed to cook, Christy says. Anyway, it has been a while since I have done this, but 90 minutes is a long time in a pressure cooker to cook meat. Are you talking about the whole process?
No, I'm not talking about the whole process. 90 minutes is the processing time when it's up at full pressure. I think there's a little confusion here because if you're using a pressure cooker in your kitchen, the point is to make it go faster, right? You can get those beans done in an hour instead of cooking for 3 hours, or a roast really fast. When you're using a pressure canner, the reason there to use that is because you're trying to bring the temperature up above that 212 degrees Fahrenheit. You're headed for that 240 degrees Fahrenheit, which you cannot get in just a pot with a lid on it because it evaporates off, right? You're boiling, you evaporate off, it kind of keeps it about that temperature. So in order to reach that temperature, you need to use that pressure canner, and then you need to sustain that temperature for 90 minutes in that pressure canner in order to be sure that you have sterilized everything inside that jar, and therefore your meat is shelf stable and safe to consume.
So is that for all meats?
You know, there's a little fluctuation there. Fish is longer, chicken can be a little less. It depends on if it's bone in, bone out. Are you using pints or quarts? That's kind of your standard fallback number for it.
And so the other one would be, does elevation change that?
So elevation does not change that in a pressure canner. What it does change is the pressure you use, you know, so that you need to build up more pressure if you're higher, because water boils at different temperatures at different elevations. So you need to use more pressure if you're higher, and there are standardized charts in order to make those adjustments. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. Patty Prettyman on plans and goals for the new year. What fabric do you use for napkins, cleaning rags in order to stop buying paper towels?
Ooh, okay. So for napkins, I usually try to go with like a 100% cotton homespun type cloth. I like working with that. It's really nice. Plus it's two-sided, so the design's on both sides, so it's pretty, whether it's upside down or right side, you know. Or you can get like all muslin.
Pretty, not just
functional. They have to be pretty and functional. But you know, I'm going to tell you, to be honest, for rags, for our house to not use the paper towels, we cut up old t-shirts or sheets or any sort of cotton thing that has moved past its functional years as a clothing item. Yeah. And we just keep a large drawer in the kitchen that we just dump them into. We don't try to fold them. We don't do anything. And everybody can just go grab one and use it, or grab 5 and use it. It's a really quick, utilitarian, very practical way of doing that. The times where I've found that I don't have enough clothing, that's pretty rare for us. Our kids go through clothing. We're rough on clothing. But a good cotton sheet from a thrift store for a couple dollars, you get that, you cut that up, you've got great rags for using for good paper towels or anything like that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I like this one. Salty Cowgirl. What's up, Salty Cowgirl?
I like that.
Wondering where you're from. You must be maybe near the coast somewhere. Plans and goals for the new year. is what she's commenting on. I have a question. Have you always lived in Upper Idaho, or is this a newer climate zone change? And she's letting us know she's in South Central Texas and could have 3 garden seasons, but it's challenging because you just can't ever tell what Mother Nature has up her sleeve. You know, I think that is true just
everywhere.
about everywhere. We are not natives of Upper North Idaho. We've been here for about 6 years.
Yep.
And we have lived in the desert mountains of California. We lived in Tennessee. And so we've lived in some different environments. And I just got to say, you know what? It's challenging everywhere.
Yes.
We all like
different
to
challenges.
think, and we look back and we like to think that nature just at one time was just all stable and dependable all the time. And I certainly think there are periods where there are periods of more stability and dependability in weather patterns. But there are also regularly periods of instability.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. I do permaculture design, and I was doing research for a property in our hometown in California a couple years ago. And I had memories of a kid of, gosh, it always used to snow more, and it used to be this and that, and it seemed so dependable. And I went and did all the records. It went back 50, 60 years of weather records. And you know what I found now is just that. It actually fluctuated a lot over the years, and here and there, there'd be a few years that were kind of similar. And then you'd have real dry years and real wet years and real hot and cool. And so you're right, it's just tough. That's just dealing with Mother Nature. But we've been here about 6 years. And
this is a short, cool growing season.
Totally different than Texas.
It's very different than Texas. It was very different than Tennessee, gardening for us in Tennessee, where you have really a whole set of other problems. All of a sudden we had pest problems like we hadn't dealt with in other places.
fungal moisture.
Problems and, you know, all these
but
different things.
But the okra grew so
the
well.
Okra
we missed the okra.
Yeah, we tried the okra. We talked about, Melissa and I talked about that on the Pantry Chat I did with Melissa K. Norris about garden planning. I guess that was the last Pantry Chat.
Yeah.
This year we tried okra, and they were this big at the end of the season with like one little okra at the top of each one, and they said, we don't do North Idaho.
Maybe when we can expand the greenhouse, we'll play with okra a little more, because I would really like that.
I like that.
But we've got too many other things to do than trying to coax okra out of the ground.
But let's talk a few practical things for her real fast about gardening and Mother Nature throwing things at you that you don't know. And that's where I say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? You know, you want your perennials, you want your annual garden, you want all these different things that add up to, you know, different crops that handle cool, crops that handle hot. So that you always have a diversity, so you have something.
You can also be looking at your own little microclimates on your property and planting in different places. Texas is hot. It's probably a little cooler, harder where you're at to grow some of the cooler season crops, but you can find some shady spots as long as you're getting enough sun. There's all kinds of strategies, and this is where permaculture is very, very helpful.
Yes.
And just getting educated on that to give you a lot of ideas to work with nature instead of fighting it. Because
there are actually a lot of things you can do to kind of buffer the effects of some of these more extreme things that nature can throw at you unexpectedly. You know, there's a lot of things you can do if you're prepared for it. So
absolutely
good.
Okay, Rebecca R commenting from Plans and Goals for the New Year. Carolyn, now that your parents are going to move to the homestead, do you think they would be willing to participate in a few pantry chats once they get settled? I'd love to hear their perspective on the move and being close to family. What do you think, Mom and Dad?
I don't know. They might. Mom and Dad, what do you think? Are you watching?
Yeah, we'll ask
You want to come on a Pantry Chat?
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun. I'd love to have them.
That
That'd
would be
good.
Yeah, so we'll check it out and see once they're up
they
here.
did one video for us one time, if you remember.
Dad did.
Dad did a video.
I think that might have been in the membership.
In the membership
group.
I had left dehydrated bacon. I had made our homemade bacon, and I had dehydrated it as like a snack, a jerky. We were there visiting, and I left, and I forgot the dehydrated bacon. Well, my parents found it and absolutely loved it, but they discovered if they dipped that in chocolate, it was an amazing treat. So they figured that counted as foraging for them. And so they shared a video on that. It was a lot of fun.
They'll enjoy that kind of foraging while they're here.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. All right.
Forage the kitchen.
I hope I say this right. Ian Emis Ferry on tips for postpartum recovery. Wow, that's going back to a ways.
Yeah, that's
on
an
that
old video.
What kind of belly band do you recommend to someone, me, who has never used one. I am day 2 of postpartum. I'll be a few more days.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's a new baby.
Yay.
It's always exciting. You know, I just don't know a lot about the technicals about the different types of belly band, but what I'm going to say is I've tried different kinds. I don't remember any names of them offhand because the littlest baby of ours right now is 2 years old, so I'm a few years away from that at the moment. But use what you're going to find easy to use every day, because I know on one of them I tried the big long, like 5 yards of fabric,
that big old thing that you wrap yourself up like a mummy
thing. Yeah, you had to do that. I'll tell you what, that lasted about 2 days, because not only could I not get myself to stand there and do it, but who was I going to find who's going to stand there and tie me up in knots over and over again? So use something that's easy and is going to be practical for you. Because if you don't use it, it's not going to do you any good. Yep. Sometimes I have to learn that the hard way over and over again. Yep. So, yeah.
Yeah, we all do. Mm-hmm. Okay, Linda Goulash on organizing your pantry and food storage asks, what is a food forest?
Ooh, good question.
Very cool question.
Yeah.
So a food forest is a food production system that is mimicking nature in the multiple layers that you'll find in a natural environment, particularly in a forest.
Right.
So usually it has 7 layers, and I'll try to get them all right here. Help me fill in if I miss. You've got your overstory, which is your large trees, and they're usually a productive trees for foliage, for shade. Could be certain nut trees that are very large. Then you have your understory trees, which are generally your fruit trees.
Right.
Or maybe some larger berry trees. They might be some nut trees and even some coppicing wood type trees. Okay, you're going to have your shrub layer. Okay, which is your bushes and your berries and those size plants.
All right.
And these can all be planted together. So a food forest is mingling all of these, right?
Yeah.
In industrial agriculture, we tend to separate everything out. This is starting to put systems together where you are creating a lot of productivity in a small space, and all these different elements are helping each other.
Right.
So let's see, we're going to move down to ground cover, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think you have your herb layer.
Yeah, you have your herb layer.
Yep.
Okay, which is your smaller plants. You're going to have your ground cover layer, which are things that move across the ground. You're going to have your vining layer,
right,
which vines, grape type plants and others that will climb up your trees. And you're going to have your fungal community, your mycelium layer.
Okay, your mycelium layer, and then you also have your roots.
And you also have your roots, yes.
Yeah.
So you can plant all of those in one space with proper planting. And so that can be a very productive way, particularly for perennial systems. And you were just mentioning perennial systems. And in any environment, you can develop a perennial system of food production. And over time, it produces more and more and requires less and less care.
Right, which is really exciting. So if you think about how we traditionally garden right now, you think of like long garden rows, right?
Right.
Of annuals. So you have a long row of spinach,
it's kind of that
or you have a long row of carrots or something like that. This really changes that model. So when you walk into it, it may not even look like a garden. In fact, one of the guys who really was one of the big founders of this idea, real proponents of this idea, people couldn't even recognize where his garden was. Right. Because they were standing in it and it just looked like a yard filled with trees and bushes and stuff. And they were standing in his productive food garden. Yep. And so, there's a lot of benefits to that. And what's really fun, and as a mom, you'll probably get this, like if you can make dinner for tonight and dinner for tomorrow night while making a few other things all at the same time, you're like stacking your time in the kitchen. Maybe you got the laundry going at the same time. You're getting all these things done at the same time. This is kind of that same theory, just out in the garden. All of a sudden, you're not just using the ground level in long layers. You're in long rows. You're using the ground level, the under the ground level, the tree level, the shrub level up. Yep. So you're just stacking all this stuff. So that means you can be that much more productive for the same unit of space. Yeah,
we really cut nature short. She really wants to be much, much more productive.
Right.
And so those food forest systems are a great way to achieve that. They can be very wild
Yes.
But they can also be very organized, and there's a lot of room for creativity on how to apply that.
Yeah.
But definitely something to learn, something we're going to be applying here. We have a very specific row right in our front drive.
Yeah, we have a little start
Yeah,
on a
we
food
did. I
forest.
don't know if we did a video. We did a few shots on it in the spring, and we'll probably do a little video on it this year.
Yeah.
Where the fruit trees were already there, we've started to add some of the bushes underneath and herbs, and we're going to put in some overstory trees. They won't be overstory for a few years.
Take them a while.
That are nitrogen fixers and also fodder for animals. So a lot of fun you can have with that and increase the productivity of your property.
Yeah.
Okay, eco-centric homestead. That is eco, not ego. First time I read that, yeah.
Okay.
Caught me. So eco-centric homestead. Hey guys, plans and goals for the new year is what they're commenting on. What system do you have to put your chicken scraps in to bring to the compost? I have a
Your
gallon.
kitchen scraps in.
Your kitchen scraps in. So to get your kitchen scraps to the compost pile, she says she has a gallon bucket with a cover that keeps the smell in. Well, our scale is a 5-gallon bucket.
Right.
Fits under the kitchen sink, and it goes out once a day. Otherwise, it just has to go out once a day.
It really does.
And right now we have an active compost in the barn, so it's just getting worked into there. You know, sometimes it goes to the chickens, and in this case in the barn, the chickens get to it before it gets buried. And if you've got pigs, I prefer to get it to the pigs because they make better use of it than even the chickens.
Right.
And then compost it. But you just really take it out every day.
Yeah, take it out and a quick rinse. You know, and if you rinse it out every day, stuff shouldn't get too stuck on. It should be a real quick project and is really the way to go.
Absolutely. Okay. Nikki Johnson. Plans and goals. Love to see a video on your kitchen and garden gadgets and tools. The wooden cask on your counter. Is it decorative or functional?
My pickle barrel. Here,
before you get to that, let me just, or while you're getting it, let me just say, I think I'm going to do a garden tools video on some of my favorite garden tools and actually a new company that I found I'm really excited about sometime this spring.
Okay.
So we'll try to do something on that.
That's for the garden tools.
That's for the garden tools, yes.
Yeah, and then kitchen tools. Yeah, we don't really have a video on that one, like favorite kitchen tools.
It's kind of fun. Your favorite, most used,
kitchen
that
tools.
has got to have essential kitchen tools.
We should get that on the list. That would be a good one. Okay, this is my wood fermenting barrel. It has been burnt on the inside. I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually charred on the inside, and that's for flavor. This is functional. This is highly functional. It's used for doing a initial ferment on vegetables because the wood and the char actually imparts a wonderful, wonderful flavor. I don't find that it's particularly great to do a long-term ferment in to store in here, which is why it's empty right now. But it is wonderful to start something in here and then transfer it once it's well fermented into glass jars or a crock or something like that. It just puts the best flavor on things. It is so good, such a nice flavor. So, you know, but traditionally people would keep their ferments long-term in a wooden barrel. They are a little harder to get clean enough to not end up with mold. So you really have to watch that. You have to,
if you're storing longer term.
If you're storing longer term, you know, if it's just a quick, really active ferment, then it should be okay as long as you get it really nice and clean. But yeah, these things are wonderful. Plus, they just look cool, don't they?
Oh yeah,
man, just a great thing. I love having wood in the kitchen. So, anyways, okay.
Very cool. Hey, you know what? We got to wrap it up.
Oh no,
we are out of time.
We're out of time.
We are.
All right.
And we had more questions. Thanks you guys for that. And you know what? I just want to give a little. What is it? A little plug. Yeah, a little lean to the upcoming membership because we get a lot of questions, and we started doing this Q&A to try to answer some of those questions. We just can't answer them all, and we want to. We'd love to. So a big part of this membership is creating a place where we can get to all your questions in a space in some very direct ways. So really excited about that and the engagement that's going to happen in that group, and really the way we're going to hopefully come alongside you in your journey and be able to help out at a better level. So just keep your eyes out for that. We'll be talking about that more in the coming month as we put the details together.
Hey, and go look for that blog because I'm really excited that we're going to have a blog. So go check it out. I don't know, can they leave a comment at the blog?
I don't think we're going to have comments up right now.
Okay.
That's not part of the plan.
All right.
And we've got
Well,
a lot of places where there's comments.
Come back and comment here and tell us what you think.
There you go.
We'd love to see it.
Yeah, that's we got too many places to moderate.
Right,
so.
exactly. So.
All right, you guys, it has been great hanging with you. Next Pantry Chat is going to be a garden planning Pantry Chat.
Our garden planning
Pantry Chat.
Yeah.
But it's a how-to and how we go about planning the garden in the different stages.
Absolutely.
So look for that, and we will see you then.
Goodbye.
Bye.